Let's try again. I don't like that I can't see comments. That's like, because I like to be able to interact, and that's that's what makes me feel like I'm not just talking to myself. Like, comments make everything so much better. Oh, yes. Okay, I see Denise. Okay. Let's hope this works now. Give me some comments if you, yes, and Brittany. Okay, we're rolling. Perfect. Sorry about that, guys. Comments are a necessity for me. So, okay. So I'll get right back to it. So, as I was saying before, I have learned a lot over the course of trying to figure out how to properly color match people. And one of those really important things is that 9 times out of 10, hey Carissa, hey Kelly. Okay, 9 times out of 10, I always give them 2 highlight colors, okay? So this is gonna be, so I'm gonna start off with the highlight. So, and then I'm gonna work my way into contour, but I feel like this would be a good time for you if you guys have pen and paper, hey Amy, to write down some of these guidelines that I use. Because I do feel like this will be one of those things, or I mean, you could always rewatch it and write them down too, but I do have kind of a system that I use for contours, especially in how to choose which contour I like. But you'll want to write it down. Okay, so here we go. So first of all, with the highlight color, 9 times out of 10, like I was saying, I give them 2 highlights. And the reason for that, and I know a lot of people say, well, what if they only want 4 because they only want to start off with the hack pack? Then have them omit the illuminator. 9 times out of 10, they will come back later and buy that illuminator because they'll want it. But if they want to just start off with that hack pack, then you need to like omit the illuminator and give them 2 highlight colors. And the reason I say that is because it basically, number one, I feel like there's very few skin types out there that actually can just wear 1 highlight color. And that's something I've learned the longer I've been doing mascara, because right from the beginning, I was always just giving, because that's traditional to us. Like 1 traditional foundation color is what we're used to. And so with this makeup, it's so nice that they can buy 2 separate colors, and really it costs them still usually less than what they would buy 1 bottle of foundation for. But the benefit of having those 2 colors is, 1, they're going to get better coverage and they're going to like it better. They're going to cancel out redness. And 2, it kind of covers your butt. Because when you're virtually color matching, it is so hard to, you know, because there's so many things that play a factor into what that photo looks like. So giving them 2 colors gives them the opportunity to either wear it a little lighter or a little darker, or they have a color to transition into summer, or a color to transition into winter. So it kind of gives them a little bit of wiggle room that it doesn't make it seem like you made a mistake. And I promise you that they will be so much happier with the makeup if they can have multiple, if they can have 2 highlight colors. Now, there is those circumstances, don't get me wrong, there is some circumstances where I'm like, nope, that girl is Aura, like 100%, she's got even skin tone, like she's a 1 color. And then I do recommend 1 color. But that's few and far between for me with color matching virtually. So that's kind of my basics of recommending highlight colors, okay? And when I ask for a photo, and everybody does this different too, but when I ask for a photo, I ask for 1 with makeup on, 1 without makeup on, and both of them being in natural lighting. And the reason for that is if I'm teetering that fence of, if I'm teetering the fence of which color, like say I'm looking at them and I'm like, ooh, she could very well be Aura or June, but I'm not really sure. If I look at how she wears her makeup, which is either lighter than her skin tone, or even maybe slightly darker than her skin tone. So then that helps me choose, okay, she likes her makeup a little darker, so I'm gonna go with June, potentially even Amber. And that is something that a lot of people will probably argue, because a lot of the times we like to make people look better, what we think is gonna look better. But I'm here to tell you, like even as a hairdresser, if a person sits in my chair, and even though they may have 80s hair, you know, mullet, whatever, that I don't love, like, if they sit in my chair and they just want me to like trim their hair and they want to leave looking better, like I can put a little flair on it, but they still want to look like them. If their comfort zone is that, you know, 80s mullet hair, I give it to them. And it's not because I know they'd probably look better with something else, but unless that customer is ready for that, they are not going to love you and they're going to think you did a terrible job. And I feel that way with mascara. If you recommend somebody who maybe should be white peach, but you see her makeup photo and she's wearing amber, like it looks like, you know, clearly some lines. If you give her white peach, she's probably not going to like it. And even though we might think as an artist, she looks way better, if she's used to looking darker in her skin, she's not going to like it. She's going to think that the makeup washes her out, you know, that it doesn't cover like she wants it to, but just simply because it's not what she's used to. So that, and if by all means, if you have somebody that comes in and they're like, I am good, I want something new, you know, like give it to me. I want you to fix this. I don't like it. Like make me look young. You know, if they're asking for it, then you can definitely take that into play. But I do think that's why I personally like to get a makeup photo too, is because I feel like it helps me see what they're used to wearing, and then I can accurately gauge what my highlight color is going to be. Okay. So, now I'm going to talk, so I'm just going to talk about highlighting still for a minute, because this to me is the most important color, and I'm sure you will all agree. The highlight color, as long as that's accurate, you know, contour I think can be worked with. Like there's lots of different ways to choose a contour, which we'll get into. But I'm going to go over, so I had some of my lovely girls on my team send me some pictures. So I had them send me like a before picture, no makeup, and then with after. Hey mom. So I'm going to try really hard. I hope you guys will be able to see. This is going to be a new test to me, but I have them on this iPad, so I'm going to hold them up so that you guys can see these, and hopefully you can see them, because I want to talk about what we would see. Because another thing, lighting. So a lot of the times you can look at someone's photo and tell that they were too close to the window and it made them look really pale and washed out. Or if they were, you know, turn their head and they had like awkward lighting, always ask for another picture, always. And unless you feel like you're pretty good at gauging like the pictures, then you can kind of go from there. But okay, so I'm going to show you almost every one of these artists. In fact, I think every one of them that I'm going to show you, they all have 2 highlight colors on, every single one of them. Okay, yes, I'm going to do this one at a time, and then I'm going to show you. Okay, so right here I have this lovely, beautiful lady here. I hope I can see that to where, sorry, that ring light is kind of in the way. Okay, she is a total babe, first of all. But can you see, she looks pretty light, but she also has some discoloration in her skin, okay? So looking at that photo, I think naturally we'd want to err on the side of lighter. And, you know, what would you guys, I want to know, can you guys tell me, start commenting, what would you think her colors would be? Can you guys see her? What colors do you think she'd be? We'll see if we can get some here. Sunlit. And don't be scared. Okay, June. Ara, June. Ara. June. Ara. Okay, so you guys are in a good realm. She wears Amber and June. So the thing about most people is you have to go darker in order to cover some of those dark pigmented spots. Yep, so Lene said Amber. So Amber is what she's going to need to cover those darker spots, and then she might need a lighter color to brighten under the eye and maybe along the jawline, so that's how she uses her 2 colors, okay? And and that's where I think virtual color matching, a lot of the times we match them too light, which is scary because when we match too light, that's when they have problems with the makeup because it shows chalkiness, it shows texture in the skin. You know, it doesn't settle just right. So that's something that I feel like always through photos, it's very easy to want to match too light. So that's why I like to, what you typically think somebody is, give them that color. So if you think she looks like Aura or June, give her June and then give her one shade darker for Amber, okay? And then, okay, this is a really good one, and I hope you guys can see this because this one throws me for a loop too. But this one right here, okay, she is super beautiful, but can you see her skin? Do you see how light her base of her skin is? But she has lots of the pigmentation, like the melasma that she's dealt with. So, and you can see how light her neck is as well, okay? Start throwing out what you guys think she would be. And I'm going to show you these pictures and then I'm going to talk about why. Okay. So, this was her before. Okay. So, let me show you. This is her after, which is wholly beautiful, right? Covers so well. She looks amazing. She has a good glow to her. And she has on Mango and Aura. So you have to use a darker color because she has that pigmentation issue in her skin. She has to use a darker color like Mango. And then she goes in, so Mango's gonna cover, and then she's gonna go in and brighten with Aura. So usually, yes, Heidi is beautiful. So usually you're always gonna take the very darkest part of their skin. So when you're looking at their skin and you're like, okay, she has super duper redness right here, and it looks like a really dark shade of redness. And then she's really light right here, or really light right here. If you do not go darker on those red areas, like with something darker, like Amber or Mango or something like that, it will not cover those red spots. It'll start peeking through. But if you do Mango or Amber on somebody who's got really pale complexion around here, they will look like Oompa Loompa face, you know? So you have to go darker in those areas, and then in those areas that they're light, which most people are gonna be lighter here and here, and they're gonna have more color through here, okay? So it is so important to look at and I always will either look at the very darkest part of their skin first and see what color I think needs to cover that. And then I look at the very lightest part of their skin, whether that be their neck or their right here or right under their eye, and then I decide what matches that best, okay? So Mackenzie says, what should we cover the dark spots that are more purple dark circles? Okay, so this is where things can fluctuate a little bit. So if you have somebody who's got really dark circles under here, so if they're kind of those bluish black, like dark circles, but then everywhere else they're pretty pale, you might want to give them something darker like Amber or Mango under the eye here, and then everywhere else the lighter color, whatever their base color is, okay? So don't be scared to recommend 2 rounds of 2 different colors because it really does make a huge difference. So this girl right here, I'm going to show you hers because she has a good example of hers too. So this is her bare face picture, okay? Total babe. So she likes to use, so if you look at her skin, her lightness all around here and under her eyes, she is Aura. So Aura blends in perfectly with her skin. That's like her matchy tone. But can you see she's got a little bit of redness on her cheeks? So Sunlit actually works really well for the redness on her cheeks And then Aura is going to be her base color that blends into her skin. So that's what I mean by looking at somebody and choosing two different colors. You're going to look at the darkest part of their skin, and then you're going to look at the lightest part of their skin. And you're going to find the two colors that are going to blend with that, okay? Always, if I'm going with mature skin, I usually go a shade darker than probably what I would naturally want to recommend, because if it's too light, it's for sure going to show wrinkles. So if I'm hesitant, you know, with mature skin, I always go a little bit darker. So I hope that, I'm trying to find a good picture here. I hope that makes sense with the redness and the finding those two different colors in the skin tone, because it really does make all the difference. And I bet some of you, this might even rock your world. You might be like, oh my gosh, why am I not using two colors? And a lot of people have this problem of, hey Camille, a lot of people might have this problem of they'd use a darker color here and they're like, I really like the way this one looks, but when they step back and look at it, they have right here, it's darker. Their face is quite a bit darker than their neck, and they can see that, and then they're like, oh shoot, well I like the way it covers. But so the key to that is I have people put the lightest color on their jawline. So like for me, I use Amber in June, and I always do June right here on my jawline, because if you think about that, your jaw never gets sunburned. Like when you're in the sun, all of your color is right through here and up through here, but your jawline and your neck never get sunburned. So you typically need a little bit lighter color where that jawline is to blend it down into your neck. So good question, Denise. Do you use the darker color and then go light over it, or just leave the dark as a single layer and lighter around it? Okay, so that can be done multiple ways. So like a lot of my girls, they like to use a darker color, like I think Heidi, the very first one I showed you, or maybe the second one that had the different pigmentation that you would probably never think uses mango. I think she does like a thin layer of mango all over her face, just a very thin layer, and then goes back through with the brighter highlight color like Aura and brightens that up, okay? I like to do two colors. So I put June here. So June goes here, Amber goes here, and then I do Amber here, and then June here, and then right through here is June. So basically, and then I just take my brush, and as I'm blending it, you just blend those colors together. And one of my artists, when I was explaining to her, she was like, well, do your colors like not look weird? Do they not like blend well? And I said, no, absolutely not. Like once you start blending them, everything, because this makeup is such a like beautiful, like buttery texture, everything just blends right together. And I encourage most of you, if you do not, or if you have not tried two highlight colors, try it and then get a video up, whether that be, or feel free, you can send anybody to my page as well. On Instagram is harmonize_beauty, but I have on there in my highlights, I have an application of using two colors. And if you don't have one, or if you don't feel comfortable showing your customers, you're welcome to send them to that to let them see how to use two colors. But I encourage all of you to make your own using two colors so that you can tell your guests, or your customers, I call my hair clients guests, so that you can tell your clients, your customers, how you can show them how two colors works. Because that's probably the biggest question I get from people when I recommend two highlight colors for them. They say, like, how the heck do I use two highlight colors? And then I'm like, hey, here you go, check out this video. Or I'll do a one-on-one with them if it's different, like just a video, like real quick, and then I'll send that to them, kind of show them where things go. So are you saying that when you do two shades like her, and she puts sunlit on her cheeks, does she put Aura over top of that? Sorry, but she puts Aura on the areas she doesn't put sunlit. Yeah. So she, like that one girl that I just showed you, Kelly, she had redness right here, and then that was it. So she probably puts just that little bit of sunlit right here on that spot, and then she goes everywhere else with Aura, and then just blends it all in. So but that's where you really have to look at the customer's face and see what's going to work for them. So each person is not going to be the same. It's just very different depending on the customer, okay? Let's see. I've tried using white peach around my face and moonlit on my chin area, but it looks a little yellow. Let's see. Your white peach around my face and moonlit on my chin. Yeah, so if it looks a little yellow, maybe you just need to blend it a little bit better. But just, you know, and even if you need to do a little bit of white peach and then add a little bit more of that moonlit on top of it, you definitely can do that too. But I think for most people, unless they're like really young and have beautiful young looking skin, that's they haven't had pregnancies to give them melasma, and they haven't had sun damage and whatnot. So most of us are going to need those two highlight colors, okay? And I'm assuming most of you kind of know the realm of, you know, lighter. So I'm going to give you a guide. This is something that I've learned about doing hair and working with people's, because I look, as weird as it sounds, doing hair, I always look at people's skin tone. So if they have blue eyes, more often than not, they're going to be June or lighter, okay? Because unless they tan a ton, then they might be, if they've had a lot of, you know, sun, then they could be darker. But most blue-eyed people have lighter complexion. They don't have as much pigment in their skin, so they're usually a little bit lighter. Green eyes, like a warm green, is typically going to be in your realm of June to amber, like a dark green, or mango. If you have somebody who's got a light green eye, typically they're going to be lighter skin as well, because it all has to do with how much pigment is in the skin. Like usually if they have a really dark colored eye, they usually have a little more pigment in their skin and they can go a little bit darker. So, yes, try that, Heather, and see, because I really do think that it makes a huge difference. And like I said, I encourage a lot of you to try to get a video on your wherever you sell using two highlight colors so that they can see how to use those. So feel free, if you guys have more questions, shout them out. Okay, now contours. So I think contour is probably, everybody is like, I don't even know. Like, we just recommend olive because it goes with everybody. Totally, without a doubt. If you're super unsure about contours, I think everybody in the beginning was like, oh, let's just do olive, you know? Olive is kind of a mix between ash and stone. Let's just go with olive, you know? But I'm going to help you. So if you want to write this down, this is going to be a good basics. And again, this kind of goes back to like my hair skills. So, and learning what colors look good with certain skin tones. Okay, so typically if somebody has blue eyes, okay, if you look at their picture and you see blue eyes, and if their blue is like really blue, like a light color blue, like a dark, you know, if they're in that blue where you're just like, oh yeah, that's totally blue, ash, always ash. And the reason for that is again, it goes pigment in their skin. People who have blue eyes are usually lighter complected and they have cool tones in their skin. So their veins are going to be bluer, everything's going to be bluer. And those people look good with ashy hair colors. Like if you put somebody that has blue eyes, if you give them a golden blonde like mine, they don't know why they hate it, but they hate it. And it's because it clashes with their skin tone. So it's like you want your tones to all go together, but a lot of the times people don't understand that, but it's all gonna click when I explain this to you. Okay, so blue eyes, they are gonna be either ash contour, or if they're in the lighter spectrum of white peach or moonlit, aspen. Thank goodness for aspen, because I think aspen is super great for those light people who are cool toned. Okay, if they have blue or green eyes. Now, if you look at somebody's eyes and if they have like a green that's a warm hazily green, they're gonna like either stone or olive, because those two are a little bit warmer. 9 times out of 10, I recommend olive just because I feel like olive has a little more depth to it. And it has a little bit more of like a shadowy look. Like a stone looks really good for somebody who likes more of a bronzy look. So most of the time I recommend olive for my green-eyed people. Now there is those people who have green eyes that are kind of a bluish green. Now those ones you can definitely tilt back and forth between, you know, olive or ash. Kind of just more, that's when I would then look at their hair. So if they have a bluish green eye, if their hair looks warm, then give them olive. If their hair is cool, then give them ash, okay? The grayish blue eye are cool. They're in that cool realm, so aspen is going to be good for them. Walnut I usually recommend for people, not often. I don't recommend walnut very often because unless they're like white peach and they have a lot of warmth, if they send me a makeup photo that like they have tons of warmth, where like bronzer or just where they've added warmth to their makeup, then I'll let them do walnut. But sorry, Caitlin. I will slow down. Okay, yes, Denise agrees. Walnut I feel like is super warm and it's really light. So what's a good bronzy contour for cool tone skin? So the thing about the contour is you want it to look like a shadow. Now, if you use a warm color on a cool tone skin, it's not gonna look like a shadow. It's gonna look like they have a strip of warm on their face. So in those situations, I would actually recommend that they get a bronzer to go on top of that so that they bronze up with a bronzer instead of making their contour warmer, because otherwise their contour is not going to look like a shadow. It's going to look like they just put their bronzer too low, if that makes sense. Okay, dark brown eyes. So brown eyes. This brown eyes is where there's kind of an exception. Brown eyes, I always go based off of their hair color. If they have brown eyes and their hair color is a dark brown, then I recommend ash. So if they have brown eyes and a dark hair color, like a dark color, then ash. If they have brown eyes and they have lighter hair that's more honey or warm or kind of blondie, then I go with olive. So that is kind of how I choose with brown eyes. Sorry, I was reading comments. So how do you determine a warm or cool tone skin based off their eye color? So always, if their eyes are blue, they're cool. That means they have cool tone skin. If their eyes are green and they're a warm green, like they have yellow in them, they're a warm green, then they need warm tones. They need either olive or stone. And if they're brown, brown can go either way, but brown is based off of hair color. So, so brown is based off of how warm their hair is. If their hair is warm, then you're going to go with something warmer like olive. And if their hair is cool, then you're going to go with ash. Let's see. Sorry, I meant bronzer. Blonde moment. Would you suggest the Cayman bronzer? Absolutely. Yep, Cayman bronzer is beautiful on, I feel like, lighter skins, like sunlit and above. I know, that's what I was telling you. Write this down but once you get it, you'll understand it. Just think of warm and cool tones. Like that's why, like, you know, like when you're building a house, if you choose a carpet that's yellow and your walls are cool gray, bluish, they clash like no other. And that's because they are not in the same spectrum. Like the tones are not the same. And it's the same way with hair and skin and eye color. So you want it to all have a good flow to it. So dark hair and dark eyes are cool. That's most of the time, because the thing about somebody who has dark hair, or dark eyes, I should say, if they have a lighter kind of caramely blonde hair, it's going to make their skin look warmer. It's going to warm up their skin. But if they have cool, like a dark hair color that's cool toned, like blackish, like dark brown, they need a cooler tone because they're cool tones. So when somebody gets their hair color darker, a lot of the times they feel like they need more makeup on, and that's because it's a dark darker tone, so you need something that's going to go with that. Because let's see. I know I should make a pie graph with this info. Maybe I'll have somebody do that, like Lene. How about you do that, Lene? I'll write it all down and you can do it. So, because I don't know how to do that stuff. So dark hair and dark eyes are cool. Let's see. Yes, a pie chart. Do you ever? Oh, shadow as a contour? No, I don't usually recommend it. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't. It just means that I don't. Because I feel like shadow looks really ashy and maybe only looks good on super light and like super cool toned people. But I feel like Aspen kind of helps that. So, are your eyes a cool green? So mine are actually a warm green. So if I get closer, you can kind of see those. They kind of have yellow and red in them, or warm. So me, if I use anything super cool on my skin, I feel like it washes me out like no other. Indigo. Indigo is actually one of my favorite contours, and I think it is totally beautiful. It almost is like, it can pull cool and it can pull warm, just depending on who it's on. So if your customer is not afraid of contouring, indigo is lovely. But pretty much if they're mango or darker, I will recommend indigo. So no matter what color hair, whatever is, if they are darker than mango, then you're gonna recommend indigo. But anything above that, I tread lightly in recommending for a online color match indigo, unless they're ready for contouring, because most people will look at olive and ash and stone and they say, whoa, like that looks so dark, I don't think I can do it. But then when they put it on their skin, then they're like, oh, this is beautiful, it blends out nicely, it's not that dark, like yeah, everybody agrees. Lene, looks like you're our gal, pie chart this out. I'm really kidding, Lene. I'm just joking. I'll do it. So warm green with yellow. So olive for you. Yep, I like olive or indigo. I really love indigo even on myself, but I'm hesitant to recommend it for people right out of the gate. If they come to me and they see that I like indigo, that I've been using it and they've been contouring, then I'm like, yes, you can definitely do indigo. But for the most part, it's kind of scary for people right off the bat to start with indigo. So yep, Lene, you got it. Nicole, Camille, Camille says I'm not joking. Guys, how long have I been on here? I don't even know. I knew I was gonna go over on this one, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Yes, Lene, I'll bring you some M&Ms and like a giant liter of Sunkissed. Does that sound good? Is that a fair trade? Do you do the fish face when applying contour? Nope, I usually don't. I push my brush up in that where my bone is, like right there, because I feel like if you fish face, it's easy to go in too deep with your contour, but that's just personal preference. Oh, 32 minutes. We're not doing too bad. Blush, okay? So when I tell everybody, this is what I tell people when I recommend a blush. I don't recommend a specific one color for them. I say, blush, you could do any of your liking. Some of my favorites are Frenchie, Sandstone, Pink Grapefruit. Like I give them like nude, like 5 of my favorites, and I let them choose. Because I feel like blush is totally 100% personal preference. I try to steer most of them away from Desert Sunset because I feel like Desert Sunset is always what people's eyes are drawn to. They're like, oh, that one looks really pretty. But then when you put it on the skin, you can't even see it. Like it kind of just disappears and then it makes your face really shiny. So I kind of steer away from, I think it's a beautiful lip gloss, and on somebody who's really light, like maybe Moonlit, Desert Sunset would be pretty. But for the most part, people can't see it. They get scared looking at the blushes in those tins and think that they need to err on the side of caution. So I always tell them my favorites, and I'll give them some pictures of some samples of them too. Let's see. And then illuminator, before I answer these questions, illuminator. This is my personal preference. I am just going to tell you how I feel about illuminator. I really like rose gold. Like it's my absolute favorite. And I think pearl is really pretty. And I think honey can be very pretty, but it's very subtle. So most of the time, if they're white peach or lighter, I recommend pearl. And if they're darker than white peach, like aura or darker, I recommend rose gold. And I might be crazy. I might totally dream this up in my head, and it might just be on me. But I feel like honey, for what reason, coagulates. That sounds kind of like a really fancy word, but almost makes the makeup like look a little cakey or something. And I haven't been able to put my finger on it, except for every time I use honey, it does that. Pearl, I don't notice it as much, and rose gold, I never notice it. So, and I always apply with a perfector sponge, which I think makes a world of a difference too. But I feel like something with, and I don't know if it's the powders or I don't know what it is, but honey, I feel like is never really noticeable, and then it creates like a weird texture on the skin. That's just my own personal preference, so I avoid recommending it to people. But that's, if you guys have great, if you love honey and you think it looks amazing, yeah, splotchy, so I'm getting splotchy, then, yeah, clumpy, yep, yes, okay, whew. I got sweaty there for a minute talking about it, because I really don't want to say, because I think, that probably works for a lot of people, but those are just my recommendations, so I don't like to recommend anything to anybody that I feel like might not give them the 100% satisfactory results that I want to deliver to these people. So, okay, let's see. I always feel like no matter what, my contour is low. Then when I put it higher, it blends too much into my blush. Mindy. So I just think if you're, very careful with, if you feel for that cheekbone, and then I take my detail hack brush and I literally push it up into my cheekbone so that it's just going right underneath my cheekbone. And that's how I keep it from going too low or too high. So, yes, I use the detail hack. Too sheer, love Desert Sunset for a nude lip. Yes, I think Desert Sunset is beautiful on the lips. Let's see, splotchy honey texture goes on weird with honey. See, I am so glad you guys agree. Love rose gold. What are some of the blushes? More shiny, almost like a gloss. Those are too shiny on my cheeks. So the shiny blushes are Ruby, Black Cherry, Ever Red, and Desert Sunset. I don't think I missed any, but if I did, correct me. Those are all more of a shiny, glossy finish, and all the rest of them are matte. So, yes, Hollywood's beautiful too. They're all beautiful. I love all the blushes. And the funny thing is I never wore blush before this makeup, and now I think everybody should wear blush because it makes all the difference. Yes, petal. Okay, you guys, I hope I answered some of your questions on color matching. So let's review some of the necessities for being successful at virtual color matching. Number 1. Ask for 2 pictures, one with makeup on, one without, both in natural lighting. Number 2, always recommend 2 highlight colors. Well, most of the time, 2 highlight colors. And you know what? I get this question a lot. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. Hold on. And, well, I think that's probably it, those 2 things. So with the 2 highlight colors, people always say, well, what if the customer only wants to buy the 4? I tell every customer, almost 90% of them, 2 highlight colors, and very rare do any of them come back and say, okay, wait, I can only get 1. Which one do you recommend? And there's quite a few people that I say you need both. You need June or you need amber to cover this dark patch of redness right here, and you need white peach to brighten. So almost always, they never even question it. But if they do, then have them come back and you say, don't get an illuminator, get the 2 highlight colors, and I promise you'll be happy. So I think those are kind of the main things, and hopefully I didn't lose anybody when talking about contours and skin tone, but it's basically, just going off of your color in your skin, your eye color, and your hair color, whether you're warm or cool. And that's how you choose which color to go to. Okay, I think if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them out, but I think we did pretty dang good. I hope you guys feel confident. And you know what? I'm going to show you some of these because now that I've kind of gone through some of them, I kind of want to show you some of these other girls because I think it's so important to kind of see. Like I said, don't be scared to recommend a dark color. And a lot of the times I'll recommend something dark like amber and then aura. Like amber and aura is a really common combination for me. Amber to cover and aura to brighten. Wheat, often I'll recommend wheat and June because there's one shade in between, or mango and amber. So those are common like things that I recommend. A lot of the times when somebody's June, you know it. It's their June. Or if they're moonlit, you know when they're moonlit. But even white peach throws me for a loop a lot of times too, and I'll recommend aura with them because I think that it really, really helps to have multiple colors. So like I said, always look at the lightest color in their skin and the darkest color in their skin, and don't look at them as a whole. Look at them as two separate colors and what color you need to match that skin tone. And that is what's going to give you your two different colors. So thank you for everybody for watching. I actually was really excited to talk about this one because I feel like color matching takes some practice. Yes, yay, woohoo! I'm so glad you guys are liking it. I've tried using Coty Airspun powder and can't do the smell of it. Yeah, that is a strong smell. Not everybody likes smelling like a grandma, but the RCMA is a really good powder. I think Vanilla Dust is a great powder too. So, yeah. And can I just tell you guys something? Caitlin taught me this, and I feel like it is amazing, and I can't believe I haven't been doing this. One of my artists named Caitlin, she taught me this, and it is amazing. So I always set with a airspun powder, just because I feel like it makes my makeup last all day. But can I just tell you, if you set with, so put all your creams on, and then spray with the Stay Spray, so get a nice coverage of Stay Spray. Take your Perfector sponge, your damp Perfector sponge, and get that Airspun powder or your RCMA, or if you like the Vanilla Dust, you could do that too, all over that, and set your creams with that damp Perfector sponge with the powder on it. Whoa, guys, it's amazing. Like, it's rocked my world. So try that. Okay, so this one right here, I bet a lot of you can tell what she is. So you can see she's got multicolor. She's brighter, and she's got darker all around her jawline and like her neck. And here's her side by side. Oh, I wish you could see those better. There's her after. And that is Mango and Sunlit. So there's her before. These aren't showing that good. I'm so bummed. I didn't really know a great way to show you these pictures because it's hard with these ring lights and it not being natural light outside. But, okay. I think, what contour and highlight combos are common for you? You know what? I don't necessarily have, like, basically, it's all about their eye color and hair color. So there's not like a contour and a highlight combo is not usually, I don't have like specific combos for that, because the highlight is totally based on their skin color, and then the contour is totally based on their eye color and their hair color. So that, you know, I can always say that if they're white, peach, or lighter, I'm going to recommend aspen or walnut. And if they're white, peach, or wheat, I'm usually going to recommend ash or olive, or anything darker than wheat is going to be indigo. So, yes, Julene agrees. The best way to set. She is right. So do you spray the Perfector sponge with Stay Spray? Nope, I spray my face with the Stay Spray, and then I set with that Perfector sponge and with the powder, and it is amazing. Maybe you can post a few of them in the comments with colors. Absolutely. Good idea. Good idea, Lene. Harmony, put those before and after pics in the comments. That is a great idea. If you touch your screen while holding the pic up, it'll focus on the pic. Camille, that's a genius idea, but I'll post them in the comments. Thank you, Caitlin. And just the light, yeah. Those are the awesome photographer skills that you got, but I got none of those. So next time I should just have you here with me. What about the blue eyes with red hair and redness in the skin? What's my thought? So blue eyes and red hair, same thing. So if they have blue eyes and they're red skin and they have red hair and they're light, it's going to be aspen most of the time. The only time I would adjust that is if they like a really bronze glow. Like if they, in their makeup picture, if they love to add more warmth to their skin, then I would maybe recommend walnut. But I would prefer to give them aspen contour and Frenchie blush and a bronzer, just because you want to create a natural shadow look. And so, but almost always, even a blue-eyed redhead, their skin is gonna be cool. Like, and usually they're, you know, they have that really translucent where you can see their blue veins in their arm or in their neck or in their face. They can see that blue vein. That means they're cool. So that's how I feel about those, Julene. Do you usually send eyeshadow recommendations? Absolutely. I do lots of eyeshadow recommendations, and I do those based on their eye color. So if they have warm eyes, I go with warm colors like Zion, Bright Eyes, Cocoa, Bubba, and if they, and pinks are also really good for green eyes. And if they're blue, then I give them more, really blue can do anything, because if you complement on the color wheel, like if you're doing in the opposite, like a copper on a blue, I can really make their eyes stand out. So eyeshadows would be the exception because you are trying to emphasize a color here. But even for me, because I'm super warm, like I know if I put cool toned shadows on my face, like if I do like say oak with Sabrina, like just kind of really cool to neutral tones, I feel like it washes my whole face out just because it's just too neutral for my skin. So I like to go with the more of the warm tones too. So, but eyeshadows are, oh, I could talk about those for like a whole nother hour. But I do recommend lots of eyeshadows. And I usually ask them their preference. I'll say, do you tend to lean more towards coppers, neutrals, pinks, or, you know, just basically those three, coppers, pinks, or neutrals. And usually they give me an answer, and then I kind of go based off of those. So, hey, Bridget. Let's see, Heather, damp it and use it wet to pick it up the setting powder. Yes, and then set that way. This is the best. Makes me excited about color matching rather than nervous. Yes, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It is great. Perfect. Do it. Another hour of eyeshadow, please. Rachel might want to kick my butt tonight because I'm like already way over the time limit. But I wanted to really nail this one down because I think virtual color matching is really, really important. But if she wants me to, I can do another eyeshadow one too. But typically just ask the guest, the customer, what colors they lean towards, and then I give them a combination of a light. So I always give them a light color, whether it's Sabrina or Rome, then go in a medium color, and then another medium color, and then a dark one, like Cocoa, Kin, you know, something like that that's a dark. So 4 colors is usually what I recommend, and I give them a realm in those colors. Okay, I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching this long tutorial. Sorry it was a little bit longer. I mean this video, not a tutorial. This mastermind video. See you later.